Jonathan Allen has signed a 4-year contract extension with the Washington football team. This is good news for John Allen, good news for the Washington football team, and most importantly, a strong signal that this team is run by football people making sound football moves. We're going to explain all of it. Washington Football Talk Podcast.
Introducing the biggest streamers of the summer.
Finally heading to the Olympic Games. Gressel to Tokyo.
The fastest.
And Manuel is going to do it. Oh!
The strongest.
World record by Ryan Krauser.
The greatest.
Nobody doesn't like Simone.
And they're about to give you the greatest show you've ever seen.
The dream has come true.
The Tokyo Olympics. Tonight on NBC.
What up, everybody? It's JP Finley. This is an emergency pod. Jonathan Allen signed a 4-year contract extension worth $72 million. Tremendous news for the football team and for John. Happy for him. A kid with his upbringing is now paid seriously. Generational wealth changed his life and those of his children and family. I'm happy for it. Mostly, though, I'm happy for Washington football team fans. You can quibble if Jonathan Allen is a top 10, a top 5, a top 15 D tackle in the NFL. But what happened here was a smart football move by smart football people. We're going to get into all of it. As always, we're brought to you by Ourisman Automotive of Virginia. We ride with them. Want you to do the exact same thing. 6 locations all over Northern Virginia. Check them out, ourismanva.com. I'm joined by Mitch Tischler and Pete Haley. We're going to do a little bit of traffic tomorrow. So right now it is Monday, 8:25 p.m. Tuesday was supposed to be the first of daily pods for basically the whole month of August and most of July because training camp starts. We have to go a day early because John Allen has signed a new deal. I actually think he might ink the contract Tuesday morning, but whatever, that's kind of irrelevant. The deal is done. Everything's agreed to. So you get daily pods start a day early with this emergency pod. Boys, how we doing?
We're doing great. I love this move. I've been equating Ron playing chess, not checkers, for a while now. I'm going to keep it going that way. This was his opening move of the game, knight to c4, because he locked up one of his horses and he's ready to go up front with him.
I have no chess lingo to match that. I'll just say hello. It's good to see Mitch is in the Tischler suite, already down there in Richmond, boots on the ground. JP is on his way, which is why he's on the phone, and then I'll get there in the morning. But in terms of John Allen, yeah. Love the move, and I know it's not this simple a lot of the time, but for the most part, I am pro the team I cover, keeping good players. John Allen is a good player. They got him at a pretty affordable rate, which JP will outline further when he kind of includes 2021 in the deal. And I know there are some smaller issues related to his shoulder and how great he can be, but keeping John Allen in burgundy and gold is great for a lot of reasons. So I'm happy that this is a positive emergency pod.
Yeah, so, I mean, the worst thing, maybe not the worst thing if you kind of stretch everything out over the life of the contract, but once you don't get deals done with your guys and you start doing the franchise tag dance, it's a road to nowhere. This team has proven they don't get contracts done in those scenarios. They tag them twice, then they lose some money. Maybe they get a compensatory pick on the back end, but it's not identifying your best young players and keeping them in your organization. So it was refreshing to finally see them identify one of their best young players and keep him in the organization. So that is just the surface level. Because if you don't get this deal done now, frankly, I think before he puts a helmet on for training camp, but my finish line was always Labor Day weekend. Certainly this wasn't going to continue into the regular season, but I figured it would have to end before training camp starts. So the value in this deal, agents tell reporters news so they can break the news, and agents want the deal to look as highly lucrative as possible, right? And that's cool. That's fine. That's the game. But the reality here is this is a 5-year extension. John Allen is now playing on a 5-year contract with $82 million. It's a 4-year, $72 million extension, but that doesn't kick in until after the 2021 season where he's making $10 million. So 4 years, 72, people are alarmed. Oh, man, that's $18 million a season. Is he worth that? That's a top 5 D tackle in football. But look at it this way. 5 years, $82 million, that drops it down to $16 a year. That's much more in line if you look at what the rest of the top D tackles are paid in the NFL. Not to mention the salary cap is about to blast off. It's going to go up 20, 25%. So in another year, this deal will look good. In another 2 years, this deal will look quite good. So I think you got to try to look at this with a long view. And to Mitch's chess analogy, like this is one of many moves. We haven't seen the actual contract language. My guess is, so this year, because it's a fifth-year option on a first-round rookie deal, this year's fully guaranteed. So that's $10 million fully guaranteed. I'm guessing the first 2 years of the contract extension will be fully guaranteed. So call that 36. My guess is we're looking at a $72 million contract extension with $36 million guaranteed, probably 40 for injury. But in reality, they now have him for the next 3 seasons guaranteed. This is my guess. You can even look at it that way. It's 3 years, $46 million. And all of these, I mean, that's what, just about 16, 15 and a half? How advantageous is that to get this thing done? And you don't have to deal with it. And look, Jonathan Allen challenged Ron Rivera and the new defensive staff when they came to town. It wasn't the easiest job to convince him, hey, I know you were really tight with Jim Tomsula, but we're changing things. We're asking you to do a different technique and to deploy different tactics. And John wasn't that thrilled by it early on. But he came around. He saw how great this defense started to become. He bought 100% into the culture change. This is a player Ron Rivera identified and wanted to keep here. Now, the timeline of these negotiations was weird. They talked for a while and seemed kind of close and optimistic, and then everybody went radio silent. But it's my understanding that basically today, Monday, it was like, listen, we're either getting this thing done or we're not, and they've got it done. And I think you can make quibbles if you want higher sack totals and what do you do with Deron Payne. There are all these other kind of ancillary things to discuss here, but in a vacuum, getting this deal done makes a lot of sense for the organization. And it just, perhaps the best part is it's a departure from the arrogance of previous negotiations where there was a number, we're not going past it, we don't care, we'll just use the tag, and the tag will be our weapon. The tag only hurts yourself. And it's good to have good players around, but when you have them on a one-year deal and then you got to tag them again, and it's a constant process, it's just aggravation for all parties. So that is my short-term explanation on why I think this is such a hit.
Yeah, I think when you look at the contract, if folks are frustrated about it being a top 5 defensive tackle salary, whenever a good player signs a long-term deal, they always are immediately catapulted into that realm of top whatever percentage, because this deal goes obviously the next 5 seasons now, and we know where the cap is going. You can equate it to when Kirk Cousins signed over in Minnesota. He was a top 2 paid quarterback, I believe, in the league at that time, and part of that was all guaranteed money and all that jazz, but it was because he was the most recent quarterback to sign. And since then, each good quarterback that signed a long-term deal since then has eclipsed him as being the highest paid guy. So to JP's point, I think as long as John Allen keeps performing the way he has in his first couple seasons here in DC, this contract will look very good in 2 or 3 seasons from now when all the next crop of big defensive tackles who are going to get their new deals get signed. You can be frustrated with the sack totals, which aren't necessarily as high maybe as you'd like. He is an interior pass rusher, and those sack totals don't always get high. But he did lead the team in pressures last year. He did lead the team in quarterback hits, and he did lead the team in hurries. And those sack numbers might not be there, but that's a guy who's pushing from the inside, mostly against a lot of double teams, and dealing with those guard center combo blocks. Those are pretty gaudy numbers for a guy there. And certainly some of that comes from Matt Ioannidis, who was injured all last year, so there wasn't the same rotation that we saw in years past. And I think he did sign this new deal, and as we move forward, those numbers might not be as good as they were last year, because you're going to have Deron Payne, Matt Ioannidis, Tim Settle to a lesser degree, and John Allen all kind of rotating reps. So we won't have quite as high of a snap share. But he's a very good player. He's a great team leader. He's a guy who embodies everything that Ron Rivera wants out of an NFL player. And the fact that he was, had some doubts about the way that this defense was going, was able to buy all the way in, and then not just buy in, but also kind of grab everyone else by the scruff of their neck and drag them along, that this was what was best for this team, goes a really, really long way. And the fact that John Allen went to Ron to kind of talk to him and ask for him to help, push this deal over the line, and that Ron acquiesced to it is a big deal. And I think when you see, a guy with his stature, his standing in the franchise, get that long-term deal, it does nothing but elevate everyone around him.
Couple of things here in reacting to my co-host. JP did some really good math there, contract math, averages while driving. I don't think that should be overlooked. So well done, JP. Mitch, I'm going to ding you. This is the second straight podcast you brought up Kirk Cousins. If you do it a third time, you're going to have to take a lap around the Richmond practice fields. And a few more takeaways. I
want to see Mitch take a lap.
Talking about John.
Didn't you take a lap during a pod live stream all the time?
Right. That was when we cared about TV and, letting us entertain our viewers in multiple ways. And you guys told me to take a lap, and I took a lap in the middle of a stream in Nike boots, and I had hypothermia. I think it was late in the year. But anyway, John Allen.
Dude, I got a tweet. Sorry, can I say something real quick? You triggered me with caring about TV. I got a tweet from a couple different people like, hey, do you guys have shows planned for training camp? I was like, nope, there is nothing planned. I'll be on NBC4, and of course there's Julie Donaldson's show, but nope. We'll see you for the first preseason game. How about that?
Yeah, I don't know why we would provide coverage of this team in a multitude of ways. Okay, let me get to my John Allen points here before I get in trouble. In 2020, he only had 2 sacks, but it was his best pass rush win rate of his career. He finished 8th in the entire league, winning on 17% of his pass rushers. And compared to 2018 and 2019, he was around 10%. He had more sacks in those years, but was winning fewer times. So I think we'll see a bit of a regression in the right direction. John can't put up those types of pass rush win rates again and not get to the quarterback more. That's just what simple math will tell you. Also, I just like how this interior works together. So while Allen's numbers may not be big, he's going to help Settle. He's going to help Ioannidis. He's going to help Payne and Allen and Sweat and Young. Like, this whole unit feeds off each other. And lastly, I think, it helps, kind of Mitch talked about it too, just showing everybody else in that locker room, if you come to work every day, if you play every week, if you're healthy, if you're productive, if you take this seriously, we are going to reward you. And it sucks that it's not necessarily happening with Brandon Sheriff with a long-term deal, but it's good to see Allen get that, because I do think it sets the tone for everybody and just makes all those players kind of feel like, all right, I can get mine later down the road. So yes, another step towards this NFL organization being run in a competent, straightforward manner that will produce a lot more happy players, and I think make it more of a destination, hopefully, down the line.
Well, and let's not blue sky it. There's reasons for pause here. John Allen slipped in the draft to the Skins because there's concern about his shoulders, about possibly being arthritic later in his career. That hasn't happened yet, but that doesn't mean it won't happen, right? Like, that's still something that could occur. I think they very clearly don't expect it to, and now they've got 4 years of medicals and knowing the guy, but you don't want to rule things out. There's also, what does this do for Daron Payne? I think Payne's probably not as good of a pass rusher, but I think he's a better run defender. He also has more versatility and can play some nose for you. John can't play nose for you. I'm not sure how much sense it makes to pay both of those guys. Like, are you really going to have – it's one thing to draft guys when you have them on rookie deals, but are you really going to pay 2 top-flight interior defenders when you're going to have to pay the 2 exterior guys a boatload? I'm not so sure about that. And you can just – there is the argument that – I mean, John Allen's never made a Pro Bowl, right? So even though the Pro Bowl is fan voting and kind of not the most distinguished way of saying someone had a stud year, you're now paying a guy Pro Bowl money that hasn't made one. Certainly hasn't made an All-Pro team. So you got to balance the equation when we have this discussion. I still think it's a really strong move for the team, for the organization, and I think it bodes really well for getting stuff done in the future because they recognize the right time to get deals done. particularly this time next year with Terry McLaurin, I would say. That's another thing. If you're paying John now, Terry has to be the priority before a ball gets thrown in 2022. And if you're going to do that, I don't know if you can pay Terry and Duran. And ideally, at some point, there's a real quarterback making real quarterback money. And then, oh, yeah, you got Chase coming up. So just trying to – so we talked about the John deal in a bubble, but then I'm trying to talk about everything else that kind of contextually matters.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm also driving through like a hurricane right now. The sky is like dark with just lightning. So my math was even more impressive.
It is. It was quite impressive, JP. I should have given you credit for it. But we going back to the chess analogy. You have to make these hard decisions. No, but you have to make these hard decisions. And
you don't have to go back to the chess analogy. Just so
but I'm going to. You have to make these hard decisions, and this was the first step in making these real decisions that are going to affect kind of the future of this organization and how it goes. And I think that by giving John Allen 18 a year on paper, you're basically making you're declaring that you're probably going to end up moving on from Ron Payne after exercising that 5th-year deal for him, the 5th-year option for him, which I believe is around $8 million or so. And you're going to be, left with the fact that he's probably going to hit free agency, and you're going to have to, fill that hole. But you talked about, Pro Bowl for John Allen, and certainly it's all, there's a lot of debate to be had with it. But the only guy in the NFC that I think you can overwhelmingly say is a better interior defensive lineman than him without having a bit of an argument is Aaron Donald. And that's not to say that he's the second best, but he's in that second tier of guys who are all right there, in vying for it. So
I don't think so. I think Fletcher Cox has pretty much separated himself. I know he's injured last year. Fletcher Cox is really damn good. And dude on the Bears,
Kenny Clark, Akeem Hicks.
Yeah, Akeem Hicks is who I was thinking of.
Leonard Williams and Vita Vea.
I mean, get out of here with Vita Vea. You love that. Remember how mad you wanted them to draft him?
Yeah.
But all right, now you're negating your own point. You said the only person that's definitely better is Donald.
I'm saying that's a counterpoint on the good side. On the good side of it, back to the good side of it.
Well, hold on. Are you saying that Donald's the only one clearly better than him? Because I think you can make the argument. I would say Cox, Hicks, Chris Jones is an interior guy in KC, right?
I'm saying in the NFC.
I would say Cox and Hicks for sure, but whatever. I get your point.
Again, splitting hairs, but the point being Aaron Donald's the only one that – so to me, he's the only one that I overwhelmingly, no questions asked, there wouldn't be an argument about for him. And I think that to that point, when you have a guy who has proven that much and he's your homegrown guy, you go out and sign him and keep him and roll with him going forward. So I like the move. I like the move.
Yeah, I think the concerns as noted and maybe the questions about a ceiling are all fair. I know that, Baldinger and various other people who really watch the D-line seem to love John Allen and think he gets overlooked and does more than just those raw numbers speak to. So that kind of colors my thinking and makes me like this deal quite a bit. I wouldn't move it up to like a 10 out of 10, completely love it. But the money seems reasonable. The player fits in every way you want to. And it just helps your strength continue to be a strength. And at the very least, you'll hopefully have this D-line together for 2 more years. And then down the line, you'll have to make the decisions. But, I trust the Cap people to make things work and figure it out if they want to keep everybody. I kind of just think they can. It seems like all the time we're thinking, wow, this team can't keep player X. And then somehow they restructure or let people go and it works. So for the next couple of years, we'll enjoy this group. That could be the best in football. And then from there, it's going to be on the smart people with the calculators to ensure it remains that way for the long-term future.
2 things. Damn, I just saw like a up car on the side of 95. That was a little scary. I'm in the Easy Pass lanes going south, and this car, I think it was like the Beamer SUV, was in the Easy Pass lanes on the shoulder, like facing north, completely wrecked. Like the front of, like the hood, the whole front of the car just was smushed. I hope everybody's okay. Sorry, that was just a random aside. driving. Sorry. Two, Pete, to your point, like Bruce, outside of the random like Josh Norman deal and maybe even Deshaun before that and whatever, like they tried to be so cheap all the time, and it just backfired often, repeatedly. Good teams or teams that are willing to just put it all out there, they figure the cap out. The Saints have been in salary cap hell for like 9 years, and you know what? They just keep going to playoff games and winning them. The Rams have Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald, right? And they just traded for Matt Stafford. They have no draft picks. They have no cap space. They just keep pressing the gas and figuring that shit out. Like, good teams can do it. And people, like, the Patriots were this, like, star example for so long, and they were. It was legitimate. But you also had a quarterback that was taking under market money and a coach that was incredible at finding undervalued veteran talent. So, like, it's okay to spend a lot of money and be up against the cap. There are ways to work around it and circumvent it. Look at what the Bucs are doing right now. And that's a long way of saying this is kind of a trial year. Like, this is like the bikini contest at Miss America. Like, they need to look their best this season, because I think in 2022, they're going to have real options for a quarterback, whether it's a trade or even free agency. And they want to be able to get the best one out there. And to do it, you got to look like the prettiest girl in the ballroom. And I think a lot of that is part of why you want to kind of get your house in order now as well.
Bikini contest. I like it. I hear you.
That's better than chess.
Yeah.
Is it?
We're going all over the place. We're doing a nerdy
What would people
pursuit.
rather watch? A bikini contest or chess?
One takes more skill than the other.
I don't know. Listen, Mitch, I can play chess, but I can't wear a bikini and have people enjoy it.
I bet you wear a bikini as well as you play chess.
It's definitely I'm definitely worse at wearing a bikini than I am at playing chess. Like, there's no debate on this topic.
Your point, JP, with the Aaron Rodgers news from today and all the talk about what's going to happen with him, he's one of a few guys that Washington needs to be trying to court. And so you're right. I think looking your best and doing everything you can to stand out amongst the herd is something that's important. And re-signing your guys and signing guys that are your franchise guys, it does help you look more attractive as you move forward. Now, of course, they need to go out and win football games, because at the end of the day, that's what will matter way more than looking good in a bikini. But it's a good start.
No, the way you look good in a bikini is win the games. This stuff right now doesn't matter. If they bottom out and go 6-11, that's going to look like me in a bikini.
You mean right now they're at the bikini store and they're just searching for the right bikini to put on?
Right now they're like, oh, damn, it's raining. Right now they're doing like, crunches and leg lifts. I don't know what
squats,
type of exercise you do. Whatever you do to look good in a bikini, that's what they're doing right now. But winning games is how you look good in a bikini. Mitch, did it rain in Richmond today? Were you going to mention these storms? Holy shit.
It poured in Richmond today. Apparently, Michael Phillips tells us it hasn't rained all summer, but we come down here and day one it rains and thunders and lightnings and gets us kicked out of the facility, out of our tents and stuff because of the weather. So it was a wonderful start to Richmond training camp.
I'm enjoying that weather right now. Does it smell? Remember how bad it smells after it rains on those practice fields?
Oh, Jay hated that.
I haven't been back out there since the rains, but I will tell you that the actual fields, the practice fields, look quite good, and they've done a good job considering they basically haven't been used in 2 years of keeping them up. So they have a couple light stands out there for the afternoon or the nighttime walkthrough, so the field should be a little bit illuminated. It looks pretty cool out there. I'm excited to get out there for practice and see the fans out there.
Dude, it is dumping rain. Just dumping rain.
I have nothing smart to add on Allen. I think we covered it well. I also don't want JP to turn into that BMW SUV, so I will move to conclude this podcast unless anyone else has any. I'm ready to conclude this so we can get going and prepare for tomorrow unless anyone else has any more insight to add.
Yeah, dude, I'll conclude. Unless, Mitch, you got any more chess talk?
Yeah, you guys want to You guys want to throw a castle out there? Maybe a pawn to C3.
Okay, enough with that. Last thing I'll ask. Over under 0.5 emergency pods from now until we leave Richmond. Over under 0.5. That would probably be an injury, some sort of giant quarterback issue, anything like that. What do you think, Mitchell? I'll start with you.
Now until we leave Richmond's only 5 days, Pete.
I know. I'm telling you. I got a feeling something big's going to happen soon.
Wow.
I'm gonna go under 0.5 in Richmond.
Hold on. I'll go under 0.5 in Richmond. If you're saying before the end of camp or before the beginning of the season, I think I'm still saying under, but I'm at least intrigued. What the hell do you think is going to happen?
I don't know. Maybe it was a stupid thing. I was trying to, raise some eyebrows here on the Zoom screen, but I'm going to go over. It could be something negative. God forbid. It's some sort of injury. It could be, Ryan Fitzpatrick predicting he's going to have 40 touchdowns. I don't know. I just think Richmond, we haven't been there in 2 years. I think we're going to get a little magic and a lot of stuff to talk about.
It's magic?
Well, here's a question then. Aren't we doing daily podcasts? So something would have to also generate an emergency podcast on top of the dailies?
I would say that that daily would become the emergency pod. It'd be emergency pod, blank, 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 and a recap of Thursday's action.
All right. You think that's going to happen in the next 5 days?
Yes, I do.
Does it count as an emergency pod if Pete says that he thinks Ryan Fitzpatrick might compete for the MVP this year?
No.
Does it count as an emergency pod if Pete says Heineke should start the day after he says Fitz is going to be the MVP?
Yeah, that might send me to the emergency room pod because the sun is affecting my brain in some ways. But I'm telling you, I got a feeling, and my instincts are rather awful. So it'll probably be the quietest podcast you've ever seen. But we'll see.
All right, man. All right, let's go. Big thanks to Oarsman Automotive of Virginia. Congrats to John Allen, man. He's changed his life for a guy that had a tough upbringing. That's got to just feel pretty damn cool. Thank you for listening. Daily Pod's coming. Better buckle up. Training camp is here. If you made it this far, Pete owes you an emergency pod. Listen, Mitch, I can play chess, but I can't wear a bikini and have people enjoy it.